Right now, some of the world's biggest tech companies are pouring more money into India's AI industry than ever before. Money that could reshape the country for decades. Microsoft, Google, OpenAI, Amazon, nearly every major tech company in the world is pouring billions into a single place. And most people have no idea it's happening. It started with one event back in February when the world's biggest tech leaders all flew into New Delhi at the same time. Sundar Pichai from Google, Sam Altman from OpenAI, senior executives from Microsoft, Meta, and Amazon. And when they left, they'd committed roughly $200 billion combined to one country. That country wasn't the United States. It wasn't China. It was India. And 5 months later, it's still happening. The event was called the India AI Impact Summit, held in New Delhi in February 2026. It's part of an annual series that started in the UK back in 2023 before moving to Korea and then France. But the 2026 edition, hosted by India, turned into something different, not just a policy conference, but a full-blown investment stampede. Government officials came out of the summit saying they expect over $200 billion in AI-related investment into the country over the next 2 years. That's not a hope or a forecast pulled from thin air. It's the sum of actual commitments made, one after another, over just a few days. So who exactly is writing these checks? Let's go through them. Start with Microsoft. Just before the summit, Microsoft confirmed a $17.5 billion investment into India, expanding its cloud and AI infrastructure there. That came right after a meeting between Microsoft's leadership and India's prime minister, the kind of meeting that usually ends with a polite statement, not a number this size. Then there's Adani. The Adani Group announced it would invest $100 billion in renewable-powered AI-ready data centers by 2035. But that's just the starting number. Adani's own chairman said this investment could pull in another $150 billion across manufacturing, cloud platforms, and related industries, creating what he described as a $250 billion AI infrastructure ecosystem inside India over the next decade. That's not a data center. That's an entire industrial build-out. But even Adani wasn't the single largest pledge. That honor goes to Mukesh Ambani and Reliance Industries. Ambani announced a $110 billion commitment to build out AI infrastructure across India over the next 7 years, the biggest individual bet of the entire summit. Between Reliance and Adani alone, that's over $200 billion from two Indian conglomerates before a single foreign tech company had even spoken. Google didn't sit this one out either. Sundar Pichai announced a $15 billion AI hub in the coastal city of Visakhapatnam, alongside new subsea internet cable routes connecting India and the US directly. On top of the infrastructure, Google committed to training 20 million government workers and supporting 11 million students in AI skills. Then there's OpenAI. Sam Altman's company struck a partnership with the Tata Group to build out AI-ready data centers, with plans to scale toward a full gigawatt of capacity, enough to power a mid-sized city, except instead of homes, it's powering AI models. And it doesn't stop there. AMD partnered with Tata Consultancy Services on its own data center push, directly challenging NVIDIA's dominance inside India. Amazon committed an additional $13 billion to Indian cloud and AI infrastructure by 2030, on top of investments it had already made, pushing its total planned spending in the country past $48 billion. Even venture firms got in. General Catalyst put in $5 billion. Lightspeed, another $10 billion. Every major player in AI, the trillion-dollar giants, and the venture capital firms funding the next generation of startups moved in the same direction at the same time. So here's the obvious question. Why India? Why now? A few reasons keep showing up. First, scale. India has over 1.4 billion people and a fast-growing base of engineers and AI talent. Sam Altman himself has described India as a potential full-stack player in AI, meaning not just a market to sell into, but a country capable of building models, chips, and infrastructure of its own. Second, energy and land. Building AI infrastructure means building data centers, and data centers need cheap land, reliable power, and, increasingly, renewable energy. India has been aggressively expanding its solar capacity, which is exactly what companies like Adani are now packaging together with their data center plans. Third, government alignment. India's government has been actively courting this investment through its own India AI mission, which had already provisioned more than 38,000 GPUs domestically before the summit even happened, with another 20,000 added shortly after. This isn't foreign companies stumbling into India by accident, it's a government actively rolling out the red carpet. And fourth, maybe the simplest reason, nobody wants to be the company that missed India. Once Microsoft, Google, and Adani all commit tens of billions of dollars, every competitor watching from the sidelines faces pressure to do the same, or risk falling behind in a market this size. Here's the part that separates this from just another flashy announcement that fades a few months later. 5 months after the summit, the money is still moving. Just this month, Indian startups pulled in over $400 million in a single week, one of the strongest funding weeks of the year, with AI infrastructure among the biggest categories driving that surge. In the first half of 2026 alone, Indian AI startups raised close to $700 million, nearly half of everything the sector had raised cumulatively in its entire history before this year even started. And it's not just startups. Tata Consultancy Services just opened a new autonomous engineering lab in Bengaluru, built together with NVIDIA, aimed at bringing AI into manufacturing and industrial automation. In other words, the February summit wasn't a one-off headline, it was the starting gun. And the race has been running ever since. Now it's worth being honest here, huge pledges like this don't always play out exactly as announced. Investment commitments made on a stage, in front of cameras and world leaders, are promises about the future, not signed, guaranteed outcomes. Timelines slip. Some projects scale down, some partnerships quietly go nowhere. There's also a real question of whether India's power grid, land availability, and regulatory system can actually absorb this scale of investment as fast as it's being promised. Building a data center is one thing, powering it reliably for a decade is another. So the honest way to look at this isn't that it's already done. It's that the direction has been set, the money has started moving, and nearly every major player in the industry has decided India is where they need to be. Whether this turns India into the next great AI superpower or just one very large piece of a much bigger global race, one thing is already true. The world's biggest tech companies just made their bet. And they made it on India. If you want to see where this goes next, subscribe, because this is a story that's only just getting started.